Straight ahead on CCX News, preparing for the worst. Where do you put all those people in case of emergency? Plus, after starting small, the company that's now among the largest electronic waste recyclers in the state. And if you use one of those proximity keys to start your car for a morning warm-up, police have a word of caution. CCX News starts right now. Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. Brooklyn Center Police are warning residents about a potential problem that could make your car or truck an easy target for thieves.
Sonia Goins has more on what you can do to protect your vehicles.
People want to have that nice warm car when they get up in the morning.
I don't know anyone who likes getting into a cold car. During our Minnesota winters, many folks warm up their vehicles before taking off.
It is a huge problem, especially here in Brooklyn Center.
Some people use proximity keys to start their engines to warm their car. The device makes it easy to start your vehicle without a physical key. But the gadget can also give access to crooks.
Even if you're standing right next to the car can be driven off with the keys not in the car itself.
Mike Peterson is the auto theft investigator for the Brooklyn Center Police Department. He showed us just how easy it is to have someone drive off with your ride.
I have the keys here with me. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to start the car. The vehicle is now running and it will not allow me to lock the doors. I hit the lock buttons and all the doors go and unlock again because it doesn't want me to lock my keys in the car. I'm just going to set them back here, and now I do not have the keys in my hands. I'm going to get back into the car. The car now is in drive and I can drive off.
Mike says this is a big problem in Brooklyn Center.
So far in 2017, we've had approximately 80 cars stolen. 4
of those cases involved smart keys.
Pretty much all makes and models are susceptible to this, no matter if you're paying a couple $1,000s or you're paying upwards of $80,000, $90,000.
Now, one way to prevent this from happening is to have a remote starter, so someone can't just drive off with your vehicle.
A lot of people are lulled in a false sense of security that because they have the physical key in their hand that nobody can steal their car, but that's actually not true.
In Brooklyn Center, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
In Brooklyn Center, you can get a ticket for leaving your keys in the ignition with the car running. Even the new technology falls under the ordinance, which means you could get a ticket for leaving your car vulnerable to theft.
Well, there is a reminder from the State Patrol about securing loads on trucks and trailers after a close call in Maple Grove. A piece of metal flew off a truck, bounced off the interstate, and through a motorist's windshield. It happened on Interstate 494 late last month near the merge with I-94 in Maple Grove. The 38-year-old driver from Chaska walked away from the crash with just a few small cuts. The driver of the other vehicle was not located, but it could have been a lot worse. We recently saw this load on I-94 driving through Brooklyn Center into Minneapolis. The State Patrol is reminding drivers to make sure anything you're transporting is properly secured. That includes stopping and checking the load along the way. Emergency workers joined forces in Maple Grove to prepare for a possible disaster.
If a tornado or apartment fire forces people out of their homes, where would they go? Reporter Shannon Slatton explains how crews are practicing to get people to shelter in an emergency.
At a Maple Grove church, people from 14 cities came together to answer the question, what if a major disaster forced people out of their homes?
It sounds like we're about ready to open our shelters.
We set today as the date to have a drill.
Crews have been working toward this date for 3 years.
And our Park and Recs department is in charge of congregate care. So we started talking to our Park and Rec staff in each of our cities and had discovered that some were unaware that they were even named in the plan, and others were aware of it but have never practiced it.
Today, getting ready for this practice drill started with an empty gym and crews setting up cots, organizing and gathering up supplies. The Red Cross came to offer support and advice.
It's so important to practice because there would be so many other chaotic factors going on in an emergency situation.
Then Plymouth volunteers acting as evacuees arrived to be checked in.
So you'll need medication.
Okay, what's your last name?
When people come to shelters, they often bring their pets along. So part of the training today is just what to do with those pets.
The idea is this is a holding area for the people that have been displaced so that they can take care of their needs without worrying about their animals' needs.
Instead of real ones, volunteers brought stuffed animals to shelter temporarily. This part of the process became important after Hurricane Katrina.
There was a number of people that perished because they would not separate from their pets.
Staff say the fact that this training happened before the Super Bowl is merely a coincidence, but a good one. There are emergency plans in place in case shelters are needed around the Twin Cities during the Super Bowl. This training helps prepare staff if a Northwest Metro shelter is needed during that event or beyond.
We take our plan very seriously, and that we train all the different functions of our plan. So in case an accident or an emergency ever happens, that we're going to be prepped, we're going to be ready.
In Maple Grove, Shannon Slatton, CCX News.
In Robbinsdale, the City Council will be looking at possible changes in the city's tobacco ordinance this week. It could include raising the legal age for tobacco sales from 18 to 21. But at a work session last month, it was determined there was not enough support for that until other area cities also changed their regulations. There's concern about negative business impacts between cities with different rules. There's also a proposed resolution to consider that would not change the local ordinance, but favors a 21-year-old tobacco ordinance when neighboring cities do the same. The legal age, though, isn't the only issue to consider. Others include possibly restricting the sale of flavored tobacco products, requiring a minimum price for cigars, and requiring child-resistant packaging for liquids containing nicotine. The Robbinsdale Council meets on Tuesday.
The housing industry's $9 billion merger between Lennar and Cal Atlantic could mean more entry-level new homes in the Minneapolis metro area. Cal Atlantic is the builder of these new townhomes in Maple Grove, where land continues to be developed. Even though fall and early winter tends to be a slower time for home sales, any well-conditioned starter home priced under $280,000 is still selling fast, according to local realtor Jared Peterson. He spoke recently in Rogers at the I-94 West Chambers Business Institute Expo.
I think 2018 is going to mirror 2017 very closely. I think the big question mark is what's going to happen with 2019. Most people do predict interest rates will be about 1% higher than what they are today a year from now, given the economies and stuff that we have. But the housing demand and the housing supply will be very similar in 2018 as it is in 2017.
Realtors say buyers and sellers need to be ready by early February, the weekend after the Super Bowl, to capitalize on the spring housing market.
Well, it is not a presidential election year, but there are local issues and candidates on the ballot in many places. In Golden Valley, voters are deciding 2 seats on the city council. 5 candidates are running for those jobs. And school districts are also getting attention. Anoka Hennepin, Brooklyn Center, Wayzata, and Hopkins all have school levies on the ballot on Tuesday. The Hopkins School District has the only contested school board race in the CCX coverage area. Remember, polls are open Tuesday from 7 in the morning until 8 on Tuesday night. Still ahead on CCX News, a local company goes from tiny to one of the biggest electronic recyclers in the state.
Plus, just one local football team is advancing in the playoffs. We'll have highlights from a snowy night.
But first, bundle up for a chilly week. Your AccuWeather forecast is next. Valley business is celebrating a major milestone.
6 years after opening, Tech Dump has processed 20 million pounds of electronics. In this week's Business Matters, the company keeps old cell phones and computers out of the landfill, but it's also proud of its purpose.
This is pretty close to where it started.
CEO Amanda LaGrange would not have believed it was possible 6 years ago.
The fact that we were able to do what we did back then seems incredible.
From this Golden Valley warehouse, Tech Dump grew from a company of 3, recycling a small volume of old electronics for parts and materials in 2011, into a company of 54 people and one major milestone this year.
Tech Dump recently reached 20 million pounds processed of electronics, so either refurbished or recycled by our team.
Tech Dump now has multiple locations. It even spun off a retail brand, Tech Discounts, which sells refurbished electronics, such as laptops and computers that often come from businesses after an upgrade.
We went from kind of a teeny organization that primarily worked with consumers, grandmas down the street, aunts and uncles, to now one of the largest electronics recyclers in the state of Minnesota.
The growth of this company is directly connected to the growth of its people.
It's nice to have a place that would give me a chance.
52-year-old Tom BECICKA wipes hard drives clean of old data while he rebuilds his own life, now nearly 6 years clean from drug addiction.
Gratitude, they gave me a job when I had a 15-year gap in my work history.
Hiring those who face barriers to employment is the mission of this company, and Tech Dump celebrates when employees leave for better jobs.
Our whole purpose is to provide an individual with the confidence and the work reference that they need to be successful outside of our organization.
Tom BECICKA has 4 solid years of employment here, and he knows he will soon be ready to move on.
You know, I got something positive to say about my life.
For this company, that's the most important milestone.
The biggest success for us will always be the employees that we've had the honor of working with.
In its 6 years, Tech Dump has provided more than 320,000 hours of job training. Coming up next, cooler weather is already here, and then the holidays aren't far behind. We will see how one nonprofit is getting ready.
It's happening fast, but first, it's a big day for Wayzata runners at the state cross-country meet. John Jacobson will have the details coming up next in sports.
And with sports, the Wayzata boys and girls cross-country teams were both considered favorites to win their respective state cross-country meets, and both Trojans teams delivered on Saturday. Class AA girls race first 5,000-meter run, Wayzata and Maple Grove, the local teams that qualified. After an 8th place finish last year, Emily Covert of Minneapolis Washburn is this year's winner. He crosses in a time of 17 minutes and 30 seconds. Top local finisher is Emma Atkinson of Wayzata. She places 3rd behind Covert and Farmington's Anna Fensky. Coming up in the middle of blue is the Trojans' Caroline Sasson. She places 7th overall. Wayzata's girls win the team championship. AA boys race next at St. Olaf College, with Wayzata the favorites to defend their title. Khalid Hussein, runner-up a year ago, he wins this year's championship. His time 15 minutes, 22.6 seconds. He wins by 9 seconds. The next Wayzata runner, Blake Bisey, he finishes 9th overall. Grant Matthews, Anders Anderson, Andrew Brandt, and Mitchell Tollander all finish in the top 25. The Trojans win the state title. Congratulations to both Wayzata teams. Now to football and playoff action. Maple Grove aimed for a road win in the second round of Class 6A. Snow football as the Crimson played at Roseville. And that was a good start for Maple Grove. Big hole for Evan Hull to run through. He scores on a 20-yard run to make it 14-0 Crimson. Roseville, though, will battle back in this one. A pass here from Luke Borchert. Zachary Andrade in the corner of the end zone to make it 14-14. Maple Grove keeps scoring. Joe Raymond takes the handoff and gets in for the touchdown. The Crimson lead 28-14 at halftime. Fourth quarter, and Justin Stolp on the run, and watch him on this play. Gets through a tackler, and he goes all the way to the end zone, 41 yards for a score to make it 34-14 Crimson. And Hall unstoppable this night. He finishes with 397 yards rushing in the game. Maple Grove wins 41-28. Crimson now will meet St. Michael Albertville in the quarterfinals at Park Center High School. That's this Thursday at 7 o'clock. Champlin Park and Tutino Grace both lost their Class 6A playoff games on Friday. In Section 5, Class 5A, St. Louis Park visited Cooper for the title. Orioles quarterback Johnny Sorensen scores on the short run. St. Louis Park grabs a 7-0 lead in the first quarter. Late in the first half, Cameron King throws deep. The defender falls, and Adrian Adams hauls it in. Extra point, though, blocked, and it's Cooper down, trailing 7-6 at halftime. Huge play here. Phoenix Sproles makes the catch, but is stripped by Riley Dvorak just short of the end zone. The Orioles recover. Big near miss, and that hurts Cooper in the end. Late in the game, Park goes on a long scoring drive. Sorensen eludes the rush and hits McCabe Dvorak for the touchdown, and it's 13-6 Orioles. After a huge kickoff return, Cooper answers. King to Pedro Musso. He gets in for the score with just over a minute to play, and this touchdown makes it 13-12. Cooper goes for 2 in the lead and possible win, but Ante Burns is stuffed short of the end zone. St. Louis Park wins 13-12. They qualify for the state playoffs for the first time in school history. The state volleyball tournament starts Thursday in St. Paul. Section 6-3A featured a repeat champion. Hopkins, the top seed in 6-3A, faced second seed Benilde St. Margaret's for the title. First set after a Jay Nelson dig, Benilde's Sophie Hathaway blocked Tara Lee's attack there. The Red Knights have a 17-14 lead. But the Royals rally late in the set. Lee gets the block on Maisie Jackson, and Hopkins wins 25-23. Set 2, the Royals with a late comeback again. Nicole Class with a kill, 26-24 the score, and they're up 2-0 on the Red Knights. But Benilde comes out strong in the third. Skya Faber delivers a kill for a point. Coach Fong Long's Red Knights still in it. They win this one 25-19 to make it 2-1. After falling behind 21-9 in the fourth set, Benilde goes on an 11-0 run. Kill there from Hathaway makes it 21-19, but the Royals will hang on to win. Anna Erickson with a kill late in the set. Hopkins wins their third straight Section 6-3A title. Hopkins received the 4th seed for the state tournament. They'll face 5th seed Prior Lake in the quarterfinals Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. We'll look at the Champlain Park Rebels coming up Tuesday starting at 4. And that's all for sports. Alex and Mike, back to you.
All right, thank you, John, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
The holiday season is coming up fast, and Brooklyn Center-based CEAP is ready to spring into action.
It certainly feels like it outside, and CEAP's annual Toys of Joy program has begun. CEAP is hosting toy drives around the northwest suburbs and will provide toys and food to more than 1,600 kids this holiday season. The coldest weather since last spring also means a huge need for caps, coats, and gloves. And CEAP relies on donations from corporate groups, faith-based organizations, and families.
In addition to all of the ways that you can support CEAP through a toy drive or a food drive, you can also support CEAP by giving a monetary donation that helps keep our refrigerators running and our staff here to greet people. And you can also support CEAP by volunteering your time.
And CEAP is collecting toys through December 15th. We'll see you back here tomorrow.